Jack's Peak is right here. This is named after Jack the Mormon Kid, the Jack Mormon. The Mormon that picked up a coffee bean off Swervin' Irvin's wagon down in Ridgefield, sampled one of Juan Valdez's high quality coffee beans, and turned into a Jack Mormon. I don't believe it. Do you see what I found here? It's these little beans. Aren't they perfect? They're not perfect because Juan Valdez does not take care of his coffee beans. Do you know how hard Juan Valdez had to tend to every plant up here every year to produce the 1 pound of coffee? Sure, there's easier ways to make coffee, but Juan Valdez was most concerned with the highest quality for the Beehive Society. That's Jack's Peak. This is Pioneer Peak, also known as Ogre Peak. Ogre Peak is the real history. And this is Eagle Hollow. As they said that when you got one of Juan Valdez's coffee beans, you flew like an eagle. Fly like an eagle. I soared like an eagle in Eagle Hollow off Juan Valdez's coffee beans. There's Beehive Peak. I mean, Juan Valdez was right. His coffee beans could have made Beehive Peak greater than it was. It's the parable of the Beehive Peak, the Beehive Society. You know, they controlled their members and kind of made them do things that were a little bit questionable, and they could have been so much greater. I think it could be a movie we could go to Sundance Film Festival. We might win. With so much history here, so much old history, and it's interesting history as well, I'm surprised that no one's made a movie about this. You just come here and explore these areas and kind of learn the history and share the history. I mean, a movie like that would be amazing. I think tons of people would watch. They might make a movie sometime, but I mean, I know there's a commercial about it.
To make a single pound of his Colombian coffee, Juan Valdez must pick 2,000 coffee beans. He's not growing the easiest coffee in the world. He's growing the richest.
Okay, I want to stash the wood here somewhere. Hope someone doesn't steal the wood we stole. Well, I had a little sign, they wrote free on it, so I just hope no one steals our free wood. Yeah, we're gonna go down to Juan's place on our way back. Juan's place is down at the bottom of that canyon. But for now, our destination is Coffee Peak. So to capture the essence of the story of Juan Valdez and his trusty donkey, we must chase on to Coffee Peak. We've arrived. I'm sorry, we must have gotten an accident because, is this heaven? Tried to be careful, but we must have dived down to heaven because I feel like that's what I just drove through. Look at these frickin' Quakies, they're monstrous. Sign's a little crooked. We should stand it up a little bit more. Put some dirt in there. Stand it up. Put some honor on Juan Valdez's name. Juan Valdez found the perfect elevation to roast his coffee. 10,005 feet, that extra 5 feet gives you just that little extra boost you need to get through your workday. It's too bad they shielded this from the general public. They hid away his coffee beans. But they say the best coffee bean in the world is the top of Coffee Peak. If you can pick a coffee bean at this exact elevation, endless energy. Nikola Tesla, he knew Juan Valdez. He came to Coffee Peak for his unlimited energy. The bean harvest 10,005 feet. Juan Valdez knew secrets. It was shielded. Perfection! You know, as you stand here in this meadow where Juan Valdez retired, you can really appreciate the beauty that Juan must have seen while he retired here, alone with his donkey. The bright colors of the aspen trees reminded Juan of the bright colored coffee beans and the promise of things that could have been. He could have been the greatest coffee king in the world, but he ended up here in this little humble abode. This is where Juan, the Colombian coffee bean connoisseur, lived out his final days with his trusty donkey. Got a nice wood burning stove in there. Who knows what else we'll find in here. It was a lonely time. Well, I didn't need to see that. This is where Juan and his donkey would take a bath. See, Juan was not a big man, but Juan would sit here in this bathtub, and his trusty steed, donkey, would sit right here, and they would take bubble baths together. Don't trip over this wire. This will be a good place for final thoughts, or maybe a good thumbnail. Well, I feel like we've learned a lot today. We learned a lot about Juan Valdez and his trusty donkey farming coffee beans up here. We learned about Coffee Peak, the Beehive Society. We also learned about Jack, the little Mormon boy who got a coffee bean, and it changed his life forever. So that's why they named it Jack's Peak. We had Bean Canyon that connected the spots where Juan Valdez farmed his coffee beans and the Beehive Society that he wanted to deliver it to. We explored all that today, and we ended up here in the final place of this documentary because there hasn't been a movie made about this, so we think we're going to release one. This is the history they don't want you to know. This is what they cut out of your curriculum, kids. This is where Juan Valdez left his legacy. Right up there in that grove of orange trees. One coffee bean was dropped there. Look at how brilliant it is. Let's walk back to the cabin. Juan's place, as we like to call it. I bet Juan's name is carved in one of these trees somewhere. Maybe Juan had a little more respect for the forest, more than D-Bo and family in 04. Libs. There were libs here. Could this be? Coffee makes you poop. Juan had the best coffee. I didn't know this was here, anyone. I was looking at Google Earth and I spotted this structure. I didn't really. Oh my goodness. We are walking on hallowed ground. Juan Valdez pooped in this closet. Look at how strong the quaky trees that grow from where Juan deposited his load. Oh, that's very strong to withstand the violent forces that Juan must have had as he sampled his coffee. Oh dear. That's been in recent use. That's rich. I ain't going farming in there. I can see why Juan took it so far away from his house.
We'll go through.
Ooh, I wouldn't put it in there. You're going to melt the camera.
Oh, gross. Oh,
Don't drop it. Do not drop it. There's a shitter there that we'll never get it out of. Oh, dear. Come here, guys. That was scary. So that's where Juan took his dumps. Various coffee dumps as he sampled his Colombian brew. I'm surprised I don't see Juan's name up here. Look, I think Post Malone is here. He wrote Austin in that tree. You can see why Juan would pick such a place. As I sat here at Juan's place, holding a nice can of the finest Colombian coffee, I like to sit and memorize this spot. Dedicate it to the pioneers that came before us. The Juans, the Jacks. Pour a little Colombian coffee out for my homie Juan here at Juan's place. Till next time. Stay classy, Fillmore. Juan Valdez worked really hard for the Beehive Society.